Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weekly Commodities Brief. This is where I do analysis on natural gas, oil, US dollar, gold, and silver. We'll be looking at their supporting resistance levels as well as the most likely scenario where price will head to later this week. And if you guys are looking for the stock market update video with the Meg 7s analysis with the Qs and S&P 500, check out the previous video and let's get started on natural gas. So let's zoom out to the weekly first and take a look. So last week we talked about this where I said this, even though it's a really big drop, we're still in a weekly uptrend. So initial move, right? This is a higher low for the weekly, and that's just the higher high. So it's a weekly uptrend since very, very long time. So over a couple of years. And because it was a weekly uptrend as well as we're getting a lot of follow through, 30-something% of our follow through, most likely scenario, even on this big pullback last week where we dropped like 20%, is we make a higher low. And at this moment, bulls actually played defense and we didn't even consolidate. So this is still one move at this moment. So yeah, so I think I even said that even if I see something like that, make a higher high, I wouldn't even be surprised. So at the moment, bulls are pretty much in full control. So let's take a look zoom in on the daily. So on the daily, we're still in a daily uptrend as well. So you can see even with this very big pullback right here, we didn't break the prior pivots. So there's no damage to the structure technically. And now bulls either just need to break this high, this 4.2, and make a higher high. This is the continuation of the daily uptrend, or let's say bears start to play defense pretty much right at the spot, and then we pull back. Then we're looking for a tightening range, right? Big equilibrium forming up. If bears show up, pretty much they need to show up pretty much right away, either Monday or Sunday overnight on futures. Then we look for a tightening range here where it consolidates sideways through time, and then potentially we'll see which way it ends up breaking out of the tightening range. But for now, we don't have enough data unless we start seeing bears actually play defense right at the spot. Otherwise, bulls are probably going to try to test this top again. Yeah, and then we zoom into the hourly. No real reflect at this moment yet either, right? So you can see that tightening range could be more clear if bears shows up right away, right? They were looking for that tightening range. But for now, yeah, no red flags, I would say, right? We have a support on this green line, bounce, bounce, bounce. And then if we come back down here, let's say bears show up and then we get that tightening range starting and then we bounce here again, then there's no red flags for bulls. Red flags would be, let's say we, right, so we come down here, only gets a shallow bounce, and then cracks through here, get a 4-hour downtrend, and start breaking these prior pivots this low where we had last week's low, and then goes lower, and that'll be a red flag for me. But at the moment, we need more data to see if bears actually play defense at these levels. Otherwise, bulls are looking for higher. If bulls break 4.2, then we're looking at closer to I'd say roughly 4.375, which is this whole cluster of resistance over here traded. Here, if your chart looks a little bit different than mine, just make sure you click BADJ down here in the left bottom right corner. I just adjusted for contract gaps. Then your chart will look the same as mine. All right. If you guys want to learn more about technical analysis, check out my YouTube and Patreon link for one-on-ones, or just book the 50-minute free call and talk more about it with me. If you guys are want to trade futures, or you guys want to just learn more about technical analysis in general, or you guys have sticking points, over trading, all that kind of stuff, psychology, yeah, check it out. Book that for 15-minute free call. We can talk more about it. And let's take a look at oil. So oil here, getting close, I would say. We did break above this pivot, but not much follow through at the moment. But I don't want to call this a no follow through because it can just very well on Monday get follow through, right? No follow through just means we had to close back all the way down here on Friday. So this is pretty much a bull break. You can see this volume as well, volume bar coming in at the same time out of this tightening range that we've been looking at for a very long time. Yeah, so I'll say this is a bull break, but let's see if we get follow through. Let's take a look. Zoom in a bit to see what happened. Yeah, still looks fine. So it is a big pullback, right? Give it back a lot of it. So if it's no follow through, this is going to come from a 15-minute downtrend, breaking this prior low, and then come back into that tiny range. Then that'll be a no follow through for me. If we get follow through, then we'll just break above Friday's high. If we break above Friday's high, then we're looking closer to right here, around the 78.6 mark is the next pivot resistance. And if it breaks that, we're looking close up to 80 for me over here. And for bears, yeah, come from that 15-minute downtrend, come back into the tiny range and break below this recent support that's built along the way here, this low structure. So we come back out of here. That'd be the best case for bears, and do a little bit of back test, then go lower low. I would say that's the best case scenario for bears. All right, let's take a look at US dollar. So US dollar, no signs of slowdown yet. Still looking at this super tight, I'll say rising wedge. We got that super hot job number on Friday. 4 sigma move, and the rate cuts are getting less and less. So the less rate cut we have, the higher the dollar is going to be, because everyone else is cutting around the world. So hence the dollar is super strong at this moment. If we start pricing in more rate cuts, then obviously the dollar can weaken a little bit. But at this moment, because of the job numbers are so hot, that means the economy is good, then we don't need that much rate cuts because the economy is so good. And next week we have CPI and PPI on Monday and Tuesday. So if inflation data comes in lower, then we might get more rate cuts priced in, and this might drop a little bit. But for now, it's still no signs of red flags for bulls at this moment. And yeah, it's a really strong uptrend at this moment. Even on this drop right here, we didn't break any pivots, right? There's no pivots that was broken. So, and bull just bought it up. And so let's see if let's see how CPI and PPI come in, right? If inflation data it's not as hot as people thought, then maybe we'll cool things off a little bit, get a little bit of a dip. But bears need to still come from trends, right? This is a really big drop. They could have confirmed a downtrend here, but they didn't. So bare minimum, I want to see a bear break on this rising wedge, and then we come from a daily downtrend. Then we can say, okay, maybe that's a temporary top. But for now, no signs of that at this moment. We are at resistance, but it could just blow through this. If let's say CPI comes in super hot, right? Next, we have inflation fears, and we might not cut anymore. And this just makes another leg up. So anything could happen here. So we'll have to see how those data comes in. All right, let's take a look at gold. So gold here is, I wouldn't call this a bull break yet, even though we did break bull out of this tiny range, right? Very clear resistance, 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 support, support. Been trading this for a long time, tiny range here. The thing is that it needs to break above these pivots for me in order to be a bull break out of the tiny range. The first step obviously is to break above this green line, and you can see we did break above it, and this is currently the back test, right? So we zoom in. Let's go to the 15-minute. We broke above it, and we're just back testing it. Bounce, bounced again, bounced then again, bounced again, and bounced again. So I think bears are thinking about taking this lower, but bulls are playing defense at this moment. So if bears show up and we crack through there and come back into it, like pretty much right on Sunday overnight or Monday, then it's not an equilibrium bull break for me. And then if bull shows up and they start cracking above here, and then start breaking above, come to test this pivot, right? We come back up here, and chop around here, and then break above this pivot, then that's a bull break for me. But at this moment, we are pretty extended, right? We ran 3.5% right into resistance. So even if it's going sideways a little bit, even if we come back right here, it's a little bit of a red flag for me, but it's not that big of a red flag because of how much we ran. We have a lot of space, right? This could just be another bull flag, right? Even if we come back all the way here, pull back a little bit, chop around, go like this. Next thing you know, we have a bull flag breakout. So the context is very important. But this one, ideally, you don't want to see it come back below it. That's the best case for bulls, right? We just bounce off, play that defense there, go sideways a little bit, cool things off a little bit, and then go. So yeah, so I'll see if we can break this pivot, and we'll see if bulls continue to play defense around these areas. And bears, best case for bears is to give back almost all that move back closer to around this like 2673 zone, and then get that shallow bounce and confirm that at least the 4-hour downtrend for me, bare minimum. Then we're looking back to tightening up again. Yeah, that'll just be this wouldn't be a bull break, and we'll just continue to tighten up. So those are two scenarios. And let's take a look at silver. Does silver have any relative strength? Now, let's see. Still, yeah, it's a big move up. But the pivot, so Seagull's pivot right here, that pivot we want to break, it's all the way up here for silver. So it's kind of far, but we're looking at this, something like this. That's not what I want. So resistance, 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 and we're just testing it right now. So let's see if silver can break that resistance. Yeah, literally just touched it. So silver, ideally, we did get a big pullback as well here, but so ideally, if we do pull back, we want to continue to see the uptrend continuing, break bull out of this resistance at this moment, which will also kind of help gold too as well. If you get all the metals running together, sentiment will be a lot better than for metals. This good sign is that we did break bear out of this tightening range, right? This support, and then we didn't get much follow through, right? You can see this double bottom. Bear is trying to make things go lower, and then at this double bottom I'm holding, and now we're back into the pattern, so it's more like a sideways range now. And now we just want to see if bulls actually break above this green resistance, and if we do, if we break right here, my first target is going to be close to 32.96-ish area right here. Yeah, 32.7-ish to 33. These two levels for me. And if we do reject from there and come lower, right, then we're looking to see if this level holds, this structure right here, which is going to be around, we need to see if 30.6 holds. If it doesn't, then we're looking down closer to this 30.2. All right, those are the levels I'm looking at. And if you guys got any questions, feel free to comment below. And feel free to like, share, and subscribe because you made this far. I'll see you guys next week for more updates. And feel free to check out the Patreon links and as well as YouTube or support the channel. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a great rest of you guys' weekend.